Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mighty Companions. My name is Reverend Glen and I'm an interfaith minister, and I'm an integral mentor. That just means that I believe that all faiths have equal value and bring us to the greater and greater understanding of God's love for us and our ability to share it with the world and experience this reality that she has created for us and with us. And I use the integral method invented, sort of discovered, or created by Sri Aurobindo and popularized by Ken Wilber, in which I'm going to give you the lessons, the spiritual ideas, the spiritual laws, or, kind of what I colloquially call the rules, in 4 different ways. I'm going to hopefully explain them to you, offer them up to you in a way from the Course in Miracles, in a way that you can understand it in an internal way with your prayer life and your own self-talk, in which it show you where they change the physical world that we live in, where we can use these spiritual laws to create the structures that have outcomes that we want, like laws and ways we deal with each other and the way we have social interactions with each other, and our relationships. I'm going to offer you ways in which these lessons from A Course in Miracles can improve your relationship. And that's a relationship with everything. Your relationship with God, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your parents, or maybe your co-workers, or even the strangers that you find in the deli. The Course in Miracles, I believe, is the best book in the Western canon to talk about a non-dual reality. Now, when I say non-dual, I just mean not two. All of the spiritual consciousness technologies, another word for religion, all the spiritual technologies all talk about God being one. La ilaha illallah. There's only God, and God is all there is. And we say that I am Brahman, and Brahman is all. And we say that God is all there is. Love is all there is. All saying the same thing, that we live in a state of oneness and wholeness with God. Now, the way the Course in Miracles gets to this non-dual, not two oneness idea is through using the ways in which the Western culture, the kind of the vocabulary of the Western culture, like words like forgiveness and salvation and Christ and God and Son of God and righteousness and holiness and so all salvation, all of these terms the Course in Miracles uses as a way of getting to an understanding of how we can practice oneness in a body, how we can practice three-dimensional wholeness. So, again, my name is Reverend Glen I'm an interfaith minister, and my passion is A Course in Miracles. My passion is delivering, teaching, and living A Course in Miracles, because I believe that A Course in Miracles is the best text for the Western culture that speaks to non-duality, or Advaita, one of the oldest teachings in the world. We are up to chapter, I believe what chapter are we up to now? Let's see, I think we are up to, whoa, God is good. All right, we are up to chapter 24. Chapter 24 is called The Goal of Specialness. Specialness is a concept that is in A Course in Miracles, and it's what we choose instead of oneness. It's what we choose instead of oneness. We choose and identify and align ourselves with the idea of specialness instead of choosing to act like we are one. Act like there is one life living us and living with us as us. So, without further ado, there's a few things that we do. Very first off, if you've joined us before, we are on episode 33. Can you believe we've been together 33 hours now? 33 hours, and we're only up to chapter 24. We have 31 chapters to get through. I don't call them getting through. We want to manage to complete 31 chapters, and we are up to chapter 24, which means we are well past the halfway mark. The first half of the Course in Miracles really talks about the ego and it helps us to discover that we are not that. We are not an ego. We are not a body. Our first half of the Course is all about that, and first half of the Course could be described as the hero's journey, in which we start out and we say, this can't be all there is. You wake up one day and you go, I'm not happy, and there's nothing particularly wrong, but I'm not happy. And you embark on the journey to your wholeness and happiness and holiness. And you discover friends upon the way, you discover a teacher, you go through some trials and tribulation and maybe learn a new skill, and you have to climb the mountain or defeat the dragon in order to get the gift that you need to bring back down the mountain, or bring to your society, or bring back to the village, the key, the jewel, the girl, whatever it is. And the Course in Miracles calls that your function. You discover your function. The first half of Course in Miracles is discovering that you have something to give the world, that you're passionate about, that you would like to be of service to the world and offer to the world. And everything in the second half of the book is the ways in which we don't do that. The things that are stopping us from giving ourselves to the world, being of service to the world. So we are 5 or 6 chapters into the things, the ideas that keep us from being in a healthy relationship, right? Being in a healthy relationship with you, being in a healthy relationship with all that is, with the traffic and the weather and the birds and the trees and everything. And today we're talking about something very core to A Course in Miracles. It's called specialness. Specialness is the idea that we are not two, that you are an exclusive, standalone thing. It's not actually true, and we think that's a better idea than being one, and it's called being special. And I know that special has a lot of different connotations around the world. When I grew up, it was a term for being developmentally disabled. They called them the special children, or and it was used sarcastically to mean like, oh, aren't you special? To mean like asking for privileges that you did not earn or do not deserve. In specialness, she's talking about in this instant is the choice and the belief that separation is not only reality, but it offers you a method for happiness. Separating and going it on your own and being, bootstrapping it, is the way to go. That's the idea of specialness. So we're going to look at that today. But let me tell you a little bit about what I do each beginning of this, so you understand what A Course in Miracles is, what exactly we're kind of doing here, and exactly what we're going to be doing together, and maybe give you something off the hook or let you off the hook, so you know that there's no dogma here, there's no signing up There's nothing to believe or not to believe. There's ideas to try. There are methods and actions that we can take. And this is what A Course in Miracles says about itself. It says, this is a course in miracles. And I would say life is a course in miracles. This is a course in miracles. It's a required course. Only the time you take it is voluntary. Free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. It means only that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. The course does not aim at teaching the meaning of love, for that is beyond what can be taught. It does aim, however, at removing the blocks to your awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. This course can therefore be summed up simply in this way. Nothing real is threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So we are going to choose actively to not only seek out the truth, but we are going to try to, and it is about there's some discipline here. There's some about mind choosing your thoughts. We've all heard of that idea. There's some choosing here about how to take action in your life. And the actions that we will be talking about today do actually require you to choose different ways of acting and different ways of being. See, when you act on something that is true, the effects are permanent and they're good for everyone. How often can you say that about most decisions that we make? When you act on truth, when we are acting upon a spiritual law, the consequences of our actions, the effects of our actions are good for everyone, forever. And they stick around. And they feel, usually, I think they always feel good. Eventually, I think you could say, in the beginning, taking some action on ideas that you believe that aren't true does feel bad. But eventually, taking actions on ideas that are true feels great. Because it leads you to this moment. It leads you into a healthy relationship with all that is. It leads you to me and me to you. So, taking these actions, the Course has some simple ideas that it would like to make sure that you keep in mind, that we keep in mind as we read the Course in Miracles. And it is this idea. The overall aim of these exercises, the overall aim of this show, the overall aim of my time with you is to increase your ability to extend these ideas you will be practicing to include everything. This will require no effort on your part. The exercises themselves meet the conditions necessary for this kind of transfer. Some of the ideas the workbook contains you will find hard to believe, and others you may seem to be quite startling. This does not matter. You're merely asked to apply the ideas you are directed to do. You're not asked to judge them at all. You're only asked to use them. It is their use that will give them meaning to you and will show you that they're true. Remember only this, that you need not believe the ideas, and you need not accept them. You need not even welcome them, and some of them you may actively resist. None of this will matter or decrease their efficacy. But don't allow yourself to make exceptions in applying the ideas that the workbook contains. And whatever your reactions to the ideas may be, use them. Use them. And nothing more than that is required. Nothing more than that is required, because we don't need to do anything more than apply the truth, and your life will change. My life has changed. When you apply the technology, and it doesn't really matter what specific technology you're using, whether you're using the teachings of St. Francis of Assisi, whether you're using the Lakota or Hopi traditions, whether you are poring over the Upanishads, you will come up with the ideas that are in this book. But if you're a Western mind, like I have a Western mind, looking at A Course in Miracles is a good place to start. a good place to read and have these ideas actually speak directly to your culture. Because I'm not Hopi, I am not Indian, I didn't grow up Catholic, and I didn't grow up with all these saints and things like that. But I did grow up in the Southern Baptist Church. I did grow up in this Islamic Judeo-Christian culture. So it's called the Western world. So with those ideas, we can begin to approach the Course in Miracles as kind of a study guide. She heard these things. So when that's why I like to make sure that when I teach it, that it is read, because this is a kind of a verbal thing, also a mental thing. We're doing this in a class. I like to do this in small groups, and I like to make sure to give examples of how using these ideas will change the culture, will actually change not only maybe how you physically walk in the world, but actually how you interact with people and the world that you expect and the world that you engage in. That's why I why I teach it in an integral way, so that all four of those quadrants, all four of those ideas, we can learn. Because I don't know about you, but I learn in all kinds of different ways. I learn visually, I learn by memorizing, I learn by seeing it performed in front of me in a group, but mostly I learn in relationship. So I want to offer you this relationship. I want to offer you this time together with me as in our relationship to take in some ideas for A Course in Miracles. We're up to chapter 24. It's called The Goal of Specialness. And we have an introduction, specialness as the substitute for love, the treachery of specialness, the forgiveness of specialness versus sinlessness, the Christ in you, salvation from fear, and the meeting place. And the meeting place is a nice long meditation, so I'll be reading that as part of our altar call at the very end of the class. So as I've said before, when the chapter starts with an introduction, you know you're going to get served on a silver platter some really big ideas. So this is no exception here. The introduction says, and I'm going to read the whole thing, it's 2 paragraphs. The introduction to the Goal of Specialness, chapter 24, is, forget not that the motivation for this course is the attainment and keeping of a state of peace. It doesn't say enlightenment. It doesn't say wealth. It doesn't even say happiness or joy or any of those things, although I believe that is also true. It's getting to the idea that peace is the foundation of everything. Peace is here. Jesus said that a lot. Peace is here. The kingdom is all around you, and you do not see it. Forget not that the motivation for this course is the attainment and the keeping of the state of peace. Keeping of the state of peace. I love that. Given this state of mind is quiet, and the condition in which God is remembered is attained, it is not necessary to tell God what to do. God will not fail. Where God can enter, there he is already. Where God can enter, there she is already. And can it be he cannot enter where he wills to be? Can it be can it be he cannot enter where he wills to be? She's got great syntax. Peace will be yours because it is his will. Can you believe a shadow can hold back the will that holds the universe secure? God does not wait upon illusions to let him be himself. No more his son, no more you. They are, we are. And what illusion that idly seems to drift between them has the power to defeat it, to defeat what is their will. What can pass between us? There's nothing can pass between oneness, can it? To learn this course requires willingness to question every value that you hold. No one can be kept hidden and obscure, but it will jeopardize your learning. No belief is neutral. Everyone has the power to dictate each decision you make. Everyone has the power to dictate each decision you make. For decision is a conclusion based on everything that you believe. It is the outcome of belief, and follows as surely as it does. Suffering follows guilt, and freedom, sinlessness. Sinlessness. Okay? There is no substitute for peace, but what God creates has no alternative. Sound familiar? There is no substitute for peace, but what God creates has no alternative. The truth arises from what God knows, and your decision come from your belief as certainly as creation is in your mind because of what God knows. God knows, therefore we know. God enters where God can enter. If God cannot enter, then it does not exist and is not real. If it's not God, it's not real. We have existence because we are God. So specialness is a substitute for love. It's the second section here. Love is extension, says. To withhold the smallest gift is not to know love's purpose. To withhold the smallest gift is not to know love's purpose. What is God always doing with us? Sharing herself with us. What do we always do? What does a healthy person always do in the world? Be sharing of themselves with the world. God is extension. Love is extension. To withhold the smallest gift is not to know love's purpose. Love offers everything, forever. Hold back but one belief, one offering, and love is gone. Because you ask a little substitute to take its place. And now must war, the substitute for peace, come with one alternative that you can choose for love. Your choosing it has given it all the reality it seems to have. It doesn't really have reality. It just seems to be reality. You know why it's not real? Because it can come and go. Things that can be corrected aren't real because they can be corrected. Knowledge can't be corrected because knowledge is knowledge is knowledge. Love can't be corrected. Peace can't be corrected. There's no correction to beauty. Beauty just is. I would say these things actually have no opposite, because what is opposite them doesn't exist either. Fear is something you can choose and try to make real, but it doesn't actually exist because it comes and goes, right? You might say love, or you might say joy comes and goes too, but that is only the choosing of fear in between the joy. Once you begin to operate in the moment for a long periods of time, and you certainly can, and maybe you do, maybe you are here, maybe you do understand what presencing is, maybe you do have a relationship with God in which you just don't leave this moment. You know what the Buddhists say is true, that the foundation of reality is boundless joy. The second paragraph says, all that is ever cherished is a hidden belief, right? All that is ever cherished is a hidden belief. To be defended, though unrecognized, is faith in specialness, faith in your separateness, faith that there is a substitute for love, substitute for God's love, because we don't want God's love because we think she's going to ask us to do something we don't want to do. We've got to give up something. No, I don't want to do what God wants me to do because then I won't get what I want, right? I can't let God love me. I'll have to shave my head, and I have to stop having fun. I won't have a sense of humor anymore. I'll have to dress in all black or yellow or shave my head. We think that's what love is, but it's not. All that is a cherished belief in separateness, a cherished belief in specialness. And this takes many forms, it says. This takes many forms, but always clashes with the reality of God's creation and with the grandeur that he gave his son, the grandeur that he gave his son. So we try to dumb ourselves down, right? We know that we're trying to make ourselves little in order to fit in. That's not very godly. I assure you, when you dumb yourself down, when you belittle yourself to take care of somebody else's feelings, you're being mean to yourself and the world by keeping your gift from us. Please don't do that. What else could justify attack, right? You're not doing what I want you to do. What else could justify attack? For who could hate someone whose self is his and whom he knows? Only the special could have enemies, for they are different and not the same. And difference of any kind imposes an order of reality and a need to judge that cannot be escaped. You understand what specialness is here? Specialness is the great dictator of wrong decisions, right? I don't have to do that. I have privileges. I'm different. The world works different for me. I'm awful. I'm great. Whatever it is. So she's offering us a way to see how we're choosing specialness, how we're choosing separation in order to manage relationships, when what we're really trying to manage is our connection. We really get mad when we aren't connecting, when someone is actually, quote unquote, making it difficult for us to make that connection, to secure and strengthen the bonds of oneness we have here on this plane and expressing through bodies, right? Would it be possible for you to hate your brother if you were like him? Could you attack him if you realized you journey with him to a goal that is the same? You guys realize we're all in this together, and we all want the same thing, right? Peace. The purpose of this course is to, the exact words it says, to teach peace. What's it say? It says the course, forget that the motivation for this course is the attainment and keeping of the state of peace. That's what this is all for. Everything springs from, everything becomes available to us when we attain and keep the state of peace. It's what we all want. That's what all of our goals are. We do it in different ways and in different places and at different times, but we're all doing the same thing. Each one of us is. Would you not help him reach it in every way you could if his attainment were perceived as yours? If he got it, you would have it too. You are his enemy in specialness and his friend in a shared purpose. That's a good way to begin talking about our friends and things we have, people we have conflicts with. It goes, start from what we have in common. The biggest thing you and I have in common, biggest thing I have in common with my enemies, is the fact that we both want peace. I hope. But we often think that peace means the destruction of another person. Peace means getting rid of something. It doesn't usually, I don't think it would ever mean that, but I'm not going to, I haven't got an example. But peace, when we see something we do not want, we do not want, or we're upset, we're actually not seeing it correctly. The Course offers that idea. When we don't see peace, we're not seeing correctly. Peace is here, but we want specialness instead. We want this land, or that book, or that car, or this job, or that apartment. We want this specific thing that means all this to us, but it's not true. That's what specialness is. It separates us from the connection, the innate connection that we have with others. You are the enemy of specialness and his friend, and a friend in special. Your friends, you're either an enemy, and that means you're trying to be special, or you're the same, and you understand that you both want peace and have the same purpose. Specialness can never share, for it depends on goals that you alone can reach. Love is sharing. Specialness can never share, for it depends upon goals that you alone can reach. Mine, 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 mine. And he must never reach them, for your goal is jeopardized. You got to keep other people from getting it too, right? There's only one, one top of the heap. There's only one winner. Those are the ideas that can be troublesome. Can love have meaning where the goal is triumph? I would say winning. Are you interested in reality, or you just want to win? Can love have meaning where the goal is triumph? And what decision can be made for this that will not hurt you? How can you make a decision for triumph and it not bring you suffering? She offers you the idea that you can't. Now, she doesn't say that this is true or not true. She says, try it on. Just try it on. Just try acting like you're not special. And by that I mean that you're just assuming that everybody has the same goal that you do. Everybody has the same goal as me. Just assume that everybody is reaching for peace the very, very best way they can. And when we start to act like that, what comes up is the need to forgive ourselves and the need to forgive others. So section 3 is entitled The Forgiveness of Specialness. The forgiveness of specialness says, comparison must be an ego device, for love makes none. So love shares and doesn't make comparison. We're learning those two things today. Love shares and makes no comparisons. You know that you cannot be compared. Your life can't be compared to another person's, right? My life cannot be compared to another person's. It just cannot. So here we are. The comparison must be an ego device, for love makes none. specialness always makes comparisons. It is the establishment by a lack seen in another and maintained by searching for and keeping clear in his sight all lacks it can perceive. This does it seek, and this it looks upon, and always whom it thus diminishes would be your Savior, had you not chosen to make of him a tiny measure of your specialness, right? Instead, oh man, tiny measure of your specialness instead. We look at others and chop them up and make them special as well, don't we? Against the littleness you see in him, you stand as tall as stately, clean and honest, pure and unsullied by the comparison with what you see. We compare ourselves to others, and they're better or worse, and we feel better than they are, luckier, Nor do you understand it is yourself that you diminish thus. By belittling another, we are actually belittling ourselves. You know that, right? By belittling others and gossiping and all of that, we are actually belittling ourselves. And here we are. The pursuit of specialness is always at the cost of peace. I've said that before 100 times, and I'll probably be saying it until the day I die. It is at the cost of peace that you engage in specialness, right? The cost of peace is specialness. The pursuit of specialness is always at the cost of peace. Who can attack his Savior and cut him down, yet recognize his strong support? Your brothers actually could be supporting you. The world, the community could be supporting you if you could see it, if we could see it correctly. You can detract from his omnipotence and share. Can you detract from his omnipotence, the Son of God, and share his power? And who can use them as the gauge of littleness and be released from limits? You have a function in salvation. Its pursuit will bring you joy, but the pursuit of specialness must bring you pain. Here's a goal that could defeat salvation. What's the goal? Peace. Peace, 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 peace. Here's a goal that would defeat salvation and thus run counter to the will of God. Or we could choose specialness and try to get rid of everybody to prove our specialness. To value specialness is to esteem an alien will into which illusions of yourself are dearer than the truth. An alien will. Oh, I love that. You're possessed by an alien will. Your ego is an alien will. Dee, 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 dee. Okay. Specialness is the idea of sin made real. Sin in specialness go together like peanut butter and jelly, or peanut butter and chocolate if you're Yolanda. Peanut butter and chocolate. Specialness is the idea of sin made real. Sin is impossible even to imagine without this space. Sin is what is like the thing we use to pry open specialness. We use forgiveness to pry open this moment, and we use sin to make specialness real. That somebody has to do something wrong. It's a body identification and all of that. So what we need to do is forgive specialness. Forgiveness is, in that section 4, forgiveness is the end of specialness. Only illusions can be forgiven, and then they disappear. Forgiveness is release from all illusion, and that is why it is impossible but partly to forgive. There's a good idea that might be easy to practice. Forgiveness is the conclusion of seeing illusion. Forgiveness is what happens when we discover that what we thought was real isn't real. It's the process of that awakening, of that clear seeing. It's called forgiveness. When we thought something was one way, and it actually, in reality, is another way entirely. That we are not being hurt. We are choosing to suffer by the actions of another person. And when we see that, we can forgive them. And we can forgive our desire. We must first begin to forgive our desire and ideas and belief that specialness will bring us peace. It can't, it won't, it doesn't. It's illusion. Specialness is not true. We are not two, we are not five, we are not many, we are one. And when we begin to understand that and act like it, because the acting becomes often before the understanding. When we act like we're not special, that everybody is a unique and delicious, has a unique, delicious, and a friend of mine says juicy space in the mind of God. We have nothing but gratitude and appreciation for them. Section 4 is called the forgiveness of specialness, and we must begin first with doing that for ourselves. Forgiveness is the end of specialness. Only illusions can be forgiven, and when they disappear, forgiveness is released from all illusion, and that is why it is impossible but partly to forgive. No one who clings to illusion can see himself as sinless, for he holds one error to himself as lovely still, and so he calls it unforgivable and makes it sin. Right? I'm broken. This thing in me is really broken. I'm really awful. That's the trying to make sin real. How can we then give his forgiveness wholly when he would not receive it for himself? For it is sure he would receive it wholly the instant that he gave it. So see, the actions, taking an action on somebody else's forgiveness, actually can be the way in which we forgive ourselves, by taking action on the unspecialness, on the sameness, on the uncomparable sameness of our brother. For it is sure that he would receive it wholly the instant that he gave it so, and thus his secret guilt would disappear, forgiven by himself. Forgiven by himself. You must forgive yourself, your desire to separate, and your desire to go it on your own and have things just for yourself. I used to say that when I was a little kid, because I had two little brothers. So I was always sharing my toys and everything with him. And I would say to my mother, "Can't anything be just mine? Can't anything be just mine?" That's a very good definition of specialness. It doesn't actually make you happy, but you might convince yourself that it does. Whatever form of specialness you cherish, whatever form of specialness that you're cling to and are proud that it makes you different from everybody else, whatever form of specialness you cherish, you have made a sin. Inviolate it stands, strongly defended with all your puny might against the will of God. And thus it stands against yours. It's your enemy, not God's. Our ways in which we think we're special and are better or worse or different or deserve different things than or somebody deserves worse because we're special. The Course offers you that as a definition of sin, as a definition of trying to prove something that's not true, as a definition of why you're suffering, because you're trying to be special, because you want something that's just yours, like a talent or something like that. It's just a quality. This job could just be yours. This place in the world, your identity. And the ultimate of that is we want and think we're special because of our personalities and because we have our identity and our Glenness or Johnness or Yolandaness. Those things aren't real. They are wonderful, but they're transient. They don't last. Glen is a bloom on is the bloom on a cherry tree that is here for a while and is flowering and enjoying and is here and has the ability to make another cherry tree. But Glen turns into something else. I was sap and I was possibility, and then I was a bloom, and I will be a fruit, and that produces a seed that starts all over again as the tree that makes the bloom. It's kind of that's kind of the Zen way of putting it. And all of the blooms on the cherry tree are not more beautiful or less beautiful than me, but they're over there or they're over there. That distance and shape don't actually make things different. They might make things look that way, look special for a minute or two. Maybe one of those cherry trees will get painted and another one won't. It still doesn't make them different. Still doesn't make them special. See, and whatever part of us we think is valuable because of the whatever quality in us that we think is that whatever transient quality, that's a better way, whatever transient quality that we're proud of or have our identity, and it could be something like we would classify as negative just as well as we're talking about something that is positive. Anything that's in that category, the Course is offering you as sin. And sin is something that is permanent and unbreakable when it's not. That's the illusion. That's what sin is, the belief that something impermanent is permanent. Specialness is the lack of trust in anyone except yourself. See, she continues. This is section 5. We have 3 more sections to go in the last 20 minutes of the class. Specialness is a lack of trust in anyone except yourself. There's a good definition of specialness. I've got in the world. I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anyone. The only time anything gets done around here is if I do it. You know, nobody is as honest and as delightful and as bold and everything as me, right? We've all felt that way. I know I have. I'm making fun of myself. Hopefully, you're getting that. Faith is invested in yourself alone. When you're special, everything else becomes your enemy. Fear and attack, feared, attacked, deadly and dangerous, and hated and worthy only of destruction. Right? Yeah, I know people like this. This is sometimes called politics. Whatever gentleness it offers is but deception, but its hate is real. In danger of destruction, it must kill, and you are drawn to it to kill it first. You can get somebody's specialist before they get your specialist. In danger of destruction, it must kill. So your specialist must kill. Or you have to kill it first. And such is guilt's attraction. Here is death, as we see. Here is death, enthroned as Savior, and crucifixion as redemption. And salvation can only mean destruction of the world, except yourself. You know, everything else has to go, because I'm feeling uncomfortable. You can but hurt yourself. That's a good definition of oneness, isn't it? You can but hurt yourself. You can but hurt yourself. You can but hurt yourself. If you knew what specialness was, you wouldn't want to hurt anybody or see anybody suffer. You'd be supporting their ability to be in a state of peace, to support their ability and their movement toward understanding that peace is here. That's what we would do. That we wouldn't be trying to hurt somebody for our own good. You can but hurt yourself. This has often been repeated, but is difficult to grasp as of yet. To minds intent on specialness, it's impossible. The cheese stands alone. The cheese stands alone. To minds intent on specialness, it is impossible. Yet to those who wish to heal and not to attack, it's quite obvious, she says. It's quite obvious. Oneness and peace are quite obvious when you want to heal. Healing is only the experience of moving from illusion to truth. Forgiveness is only the discovery that something you thought was true is not true. Specialness is a choice for sin and death and identifying with the body. It's not true. You can't ever make it true, but you can certainly use your body to experience all of that suffering if you want to. Section 6 and Section 7, and then we'll have the altar call. You having a good time? Having a good time? We've done 5 sections here so far. We've got the introduction of the goal of specialness, and that is the motivation and purpose of this course is the attainment and the keeping of a state of peace. So there you go. Everybody wants the same thing. What we do with specialists, what we do with our things we have pride in and our relationships and all this is to make them special, but is because we think there's something better to have than God's love, than to express God's love, to share our love with others. There's something inherently better than that, and that's called specialists. We are attracted to guilt. We're attracted to sin because it offers us something that God doesn't offer. A body, identification as a body, and making the body true, and making things. Please stop the world. Make everything stop. Sin is trying to make everything stop. It's not true. So that would be specialists. You can get what you want all the time without regards for whether it hurts anybody else, even though you don't even have enough information to be able to judge the world or what's going on well enough to make those kind of decisions, do we? Section 3 is the notion that you have to forgive yourself for wanting that, for making those decisions sometimes, for making poor decisions that you think are going to bring you peace, that think are going to bring you happiness and joy, and that we must forgive specialists. And when we forgive specialists, we actually discover our oneness, discover our connection, and heal. Forgiveness is the end of specialists. Only illusions can be forgiven, right? It is not. Forgiveness is the release of all illusions, and that is why it is impossible but partly to forgive. No one who clings to one illusion can see himself as sinless, for he holds error to himself as lovely still and calls it unforgivable. Specialist is trying to do things yourself, trying to make things be just yours and have something just for yourself, and not give it away, not share yourself with others, because you just can't. They don't deserve it, or they don't have the right shape, size, color, class, whatever it is. You're making them special, and then therefore your specialist has to attack their specialist, right? They must be destroyed. Section 6 is what happens when all of that, when we're working with all of that. The conclusion, the discovery is we find out that we're all one, and she calls that idea discovering the Christ in you, and that's section 6. The Christ in you is very still. It looks Christ looks on what he loves. The Christ in you is very still. He looks on what he loves and knows it as himself. And thus does he rejoice at what he sees, because he knows that what is one with him and with his Father. Specialist too takes joy in what it sees, although it is not true. Yet what you seek is for a source of joy as you conceive it. See, we're looking for that source of joy. It can only be found within, in our connection with God and others. What you wish is true for you, nor is it impossible that you can wish for something and lack faith that it is so. Wishing makes it real. Be able to interact with it in this instant. You can, as sure as will creates. The power of a wish upholds illusions as strongly as does love. Love extend itself, except one deludes and the other heals. Love heals, and the desire for specialists just deludes. Rejoice that you have no eyes with which to see, nor ears to listen, and no hands to hold nor feet to guide. Be glad that only Christ can lend you his while you have need of them. You're lent this body from the oneness. Out of the earth you were built in your mother's womb, and these limbs and everything are going to go back to the earth. They are on loan. You are loaning this body from the oneness. Their illusions too, as much as yours, and yet because they serve a purpose, the strength the purpose holds is given them. And what they see and hear and hold and lead is given light, that you may lead as you were led. That you can love as God has loved. These bodies are for that extension. The Christ in you is very still. He knows where you are going, and he leads you there in gentleness and in blessing all the way. His love for God replaces all the fear you thought you saw within yourself. His holiness shows you himself in him, whose hand you hold and whom you lead to him. And what you see is like yourself. If what you see is like yourself, what you see is like yourself. And it doesn't matter what you're looking at. It's all on loan from God. It's all the same. We are all one, looking at oneness. And we use specialness in order to separate ourselves from others and justify our desires to attack and maim and hurt and kill and all of those things, right? Christ in you is very still. He knows where you're going, and he leads you there in gentleness and blessing all the way. His love for God replaces all the fear you thought you saw within yourself. His holiness shows you himself in him whose hands you hold and whom you lead to him, and what you see is like yourself. We can look upon our brother, we can look upon our sisters and in this community and see ourselves. We really, really can, I assure you. Hopefully you can look, you can turn to somebody today and say, I am only ever looking at myself and I love you. Chapter 7 is called the salvation from fear. Why we don't do it is because we are afraid. Without you, so she wants to assure you, without you, there would be a lack in God, a heaven incomplete, a son without a father. There could be no universe and no reality without you. For what God wills is whole and part of him, and because his will is one. Nothing alive that is not a part of him, nothing alive is not a part of him, and nothing is but alive in him. Your brother's holiness shows you that God is one in him and you, and what he has is yours, because you are not separate from him, nor from his Father. And that means talents and all kinds of things. It might not be in your body, it might not be yours to do, it might not be where you're standing as you, but if your brother can accomplish it, it is your accomplishment as well. What you do, you are only ever doing in and as and for the oneness. I hope that's an idea that you can practice today. Let God honor the fact that you are borrowing your body from the oneness, and that you are only ever looking upon oneness, and use it to extend the love of God to others. Nothing is lost, because your God is not complete without you. Nothing is lost to you in all the universe. Nothing that God created has failed to lay before you lovingly as yours forever. And no thought within his mind, God's mind, no thought within God's mind is absent from your own. Do you see what's available to us? No thought within the mind of God is absent from your own. It is God's will you share his love for you, and look upon yourself as lovingly as he conceived you before the world began, and as he knows you still. God changes not his mind about his son, about his children. God doesn't change her mind about her children with every passing circumstance, and in which no meaning, there's no meaning in eternity where she abides and you with her. Your brother is as God created him. Your brother is as God created him. And it is this that saves you from a world that he created not. He's not doesn't have power over reality either. You don't, and your brother doesn't. There's no power to hurt you. You could do anything that he wants with your body, baby. He could shut you down and shut you up and all kinds of things, but it doesn't take away the oneness. Doesn't take his away his desire for peace and your desire for peace. He's really trying to be special. Maybe you are too. Maybe we all are. We do it. We continue to do it, and I'm continually discovering ways in which I have a call for specialness. I want what I want. I want something to be just mine. I can certainly be that way. My pen, my desk, my job. Actually, I'm only ever doing it for us. I'm only ever doing it with us. I'm only ever doing it in relationship, borrowing this body from God, and so that I might share my love for God with you in a body. Forget not that the healing of God's Son is all the world is for. That is the only purpose the Holy Spirit sees in it, and thus the only one it has. Until you see the healing of the Son of God as all you wish to be accomplished by the world, by time and all appearances, you'll know not the Father, and you will know not yourself. For you will see the world for for what is not its purpose, and you will escape its laws of, and you will not escape its laws of violence and death. Yet it is given you to be beyond its laws in all respects, in every way and in every circumstance, in all temptation to perceive what is not there. And all believe God's Son can suffer pain because he sees himself as he is not. The only time you are ever suffering in pain, she says, is because you do not see yourself as you are, as an expression of the oneness. This last section, it's about, let me see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 paragraphs. We got about 6 minutes to go here. It's called I call it the altar call. This is called the meeting place. And I might, I'm toying with some new ideas for a podcast, toying with some new ideas for a new teaching, a new gathering, that thing, and I might call it the meeting place. Drop me an email at gmganaway@gmail.com and tell me what you think about a name for maybe a new podcast or a new teaching or a new gathering. It's called the meeting place. I'm thinking about calling it that. So this is altar call. This is section 8 from chapter 24, the goal of specialness. And it says this: the test of everything on earth is simply this: what's it for? The answer makes it what it is to you. It has no meaning of itself, yet you'll give reality to it according to the purpose that you serve. Here you are but a means along with God, along with it. God is a means as well as an ends. In heaven, means and ends are one, and one with him. This is the state of true creation, found not within time, but in eternity. To no one here is this describable, nor is there any way to learn what this condition means. Not till you go past learning to the given, not till you make again a holy home for your creations, is it understood. This course makes no attempt to teach you what cannot easily be learned. Its scope does not extend to. This course makes no attempt to teach what cannot easily be learned. Its scope does not exceed your own, except to say that what is yours will come to you when you're ready. Here is the means and the purposes separate, because they were made so and so perceived. And therefore do we deal with them as if they were. It is essential to be kept in mind that all perception still is upside down, and until its purpose has been understood, perception does not seem to be a means. But it is this that makes it hard to grasp that the whole is an extent to which it must depend upon what you see it for. Okay? Perception means to teach you what to see. Yet it but witnesses what you taught. It is the outward picture of a wish, an image that you want to be true. Look at yourself, and you will see a body. Look at this body in a different light, and it looks to be different. And without a light, it seems that it's gone. Yet you're reassured that it's there because you can feel it in your hands and hear it move. And here is an image of what you want to be yourself. It is the means to which your wish should come true. It gives the eyes to which you look upon it and hands that can feel it, and the ears with which you listen to its sounds, the sounds it makes. It proves its own reality. Thus is the body made a theory of yourself, with no provisions made for evidence beyond itself, no escape from its sight. Its course is sure when you see through its eyes. It grows and withers, flourishes and dies, and you cannot conceive of a you apart from it. You brand it sinful and you hate its acts, judging it evil. Yet your specialist whispers, "Here is my own beloved Son, to which I am well pleased." Does this Son become the means to serve the Father's purpose? Not identical, not even like, but still a means to offer the Father what he wants? Such is this travesty of God's creation. For as For as his son's creation gave him joy, it witnesses to his love, and shares his purpose, does the body testify to the idea that made it, and speaks to its reality and truth. And thus are two sons made, and both appeared to walk this earth without a meeting place and no encounter. One do you perceive outside of yourself, your own beloved son. The other rests within, his father's son, where your brother as your brother as he is in you. Their difference does not lie in how they look, nor where they go, nor even what they do. They have a different purpose. It is this that joins them to their like and separates each from all aspects with a different purpose. The Son of God retains his Father's will. The Son of Man perceives an alien wish, wishes it were so. And thus does his perception serve his wish by giving it appearance of truth, our bodies. Yet, can perception serve another goal? It is not beyond specialness, but by your choice. It is given you to make a different choice and use perception for a different purpose, and what will serve that purpose as well, and prove its own reality to you. Prove reality is here by acting on the laws of God, acting on the idea that we are all one, whole, complete, loving, and lovely. God is my constant companion, and so are you, because we do this together. We are here in this presence of God, expressing the love for each other and for this world. I assure you that everything you look upon is you. I assure you that you have a body, but you are not a body. I assure you that God loves you deeply, terribly, madly, and that you want to share that love with the world in the way that you want to show it. Use these laws, the laws of God, to step in and pry loose your ability to give yourself away. Give yourself away. It's the only thing that's going to make you happy. It's the only thing that makes me happy, is giving myself away. Thank you for joining me for an hour. My name is Reverend Glen and Integral Mentor, and I'm one half of Mighty Companions. I can be reached at glenganaway.com for podcasts and blogs, and you can contact me there. I think even my telephone number's there. You can contact me at glenganaway.com, or you can buy Yolanda's CDs. The CD you're listening to right now is Country Gospel Kirtan by Reverend Yolanda. And that, and a lot of music and fun stuff and videos is at yolanda.net. We are the Mighty Companions, and we are so happy that you are here. Don't be special, be you. God is